So lastly, I wanted to just talk about people who've been following the theme this month on the website, people who've seen these videos and who are thinking, I'd like to have a go at that. I'd like to try and start something, or I've got an idea, or we're a transition group, we've got this project we've been doing, all as volunteers. How do we manage that shift of thinking about this as an enterprise, looking at it as an entrepreneur would? What would your advice be for people who are thinking, where do we get started with this?
Yeah, well, what we've seen so far is there's kind of 3 different areas of interest from people. So one might be they're interested in starting a new enterprise, like an energy company or a food hub or something like that. Or they just want to know, well, what are the other possibilities? So we've got the report, The New Economy in 20 Enterprises, that you can download off REconomy.org. That's very accessible. And that gives you some ideas for these different kinds of business models, and we can offer some support to new enterprises getting started as well. So it's all on the website. And if there's people interested in starting up a local currency project, or I'd like to do some kind of shop local campaign, we've got lots of examples of that on the website as well. You can usually contact these projects and they'll be happy to share things with you. We're running regional events, so every quarter over the next couple of years we're going to be putting on REconomy events, so you can come along and listen to those. And we're also happy to support local events as well, because I think one of the best things to do is to, as with anything in transition, is to connect with others around you who are also interested in this, because it's a big job to take on. And having other people around you is really, really important. And putting on some kind of local, let's talk about REconomy, let's talk about the purpose of our local economy, how do we want it to be, is a really good way of attracting people along that you might be surprised are really interested in this kind of work. And then together you can decide where you next want to take it. And we can help with those events as well. So we're here to help. Just get in touch and we'll do what we can.
And to what extent are there, one of the beauties of REconomy enterprises is that they emerge from the place. They're particular to the place, to the identity, to the culture, and the needs of that particular community. But then also we want models that we can scale and replicate and that people can pick up and run. How's that sort of tension between things that emerge organically locally, but then that you can replicate and scale to other places?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that was behind the New Economy in 20 Enterprises, those examples we picked, is that they're all highly replicable. So everywhere could use an energy company, a community bank, a community transport scheme, and there's models for all of these. But there's not any one place yet where they're all operating. So that feels like a really interesting potential to have somewhere that does that. And then in terms of the ones that are local and that are just appropriate to a particular place, then there's lots of those examples as well. And they're not going to be as highly replicable, but they'll still be meeting a local need. And some of the learning about the models, the way they use the cooperative, how they train people, there's always aspects that are going to be of interest to other places. But it's a lovely mix of both those things.
And what's the role of leadership? Do we need leaders, or do we need delegators, or do we need team workers? What's the role of leadership in making this stuff happen?
Yeah, you need a combination of people there and a combination of skills, and that's what we're finding in the places that are doing REconomy and getting a number of things happening, is that they've got a combination of skills. So they've got people who can plan work. They've got people who are comfortable talking to the local council at a senior level, for example, people who are good at presenting and talking at events or meeting with shopkeepers, or who can do great data analysis to look at the local economic situation. So you need a mixture. And I think within that, you do need someone perhaps who can hold, or a small group of people who can hold this coordination role, and to set collectively, ideally, well, what is the work we want to do? What's the vision that we want to head towards? And one of the things that we've been looking at is how you can resource that core role, because it's a lot for a volunteer to take on. So we've developed a guide about how you can resource your transition initiative. That's available off the REconomy website as well shortly. And those kind of guides we're trying to produce to help people resource themselves to do this work, because it feels important, as part of the shift, that we can move to that in some places at least, to really build the capacity that we need to do this work and do it well.
one of the things that always amazes me is when I meet people who are entrepreneurs and their brain is just wired in a completely different way to the way that my brain and most of the people who I know's brain works, and that ability to see possibilities of putting this together with that and moving that around there and then spreading that out over that, and it's a very kind of different way of looking at things, so that kind of bringing together of those two things and looking at transition through that kind of a lens feels to me like a really big sort of leap forward, and that really has the potential to get us to a point in 10 years or so when actually it doesn't really matter if people are talking about transition or not. What we see is livelihoods all over the world and thriving, innovative enterprises that are kind of making the new economy happen and making it a reality. That's it's a way of looking at things that I think is really fascinating.